celebrities, and I know very few, and he is in the business of, he'll have to tell that part, but he's worked night and day to collect these things. But I do have to mention also the local merchants who have been so good to us and so responsive and so generous. We can't leave out our darling hometown of Binghamton, which Rod loved. But Michael will tell you how he has contacts with almost everybody.
For the past 12 years, I have been buying and selling 16mm films of television shows. And it's been in the last 5 years that I realized a lot of celebrities do not have their own materials. So I have contacted and become friends with many celebrities. I've done video work for Bill Cosby and Liberace and Gerald Ford and Ronald Reagan when he was here. And it's just a marvelous experience. Lloyd Bridges has become a very good friend, and he has autographed some Sea Hunt comic books for us, which I have donated several to be auctioned. Okay. And they're a lovely item. He was hoping to attend, but he has a conflicting date.
I saw you have something by Bob Hope. What, he was 85 this
84.
Past? Oh, 84.
Be careful, Barbara.
Oh,
84. 33.
This is the Bob Hope program that he autographed. This just came in last week.
Okay,
And
thanks for the memories,
it's
what
a
he
beautiful,
always said.
beautiful program. And again, we're
Well,
very
I think people will have a
gracious.
grand time just being together and looking over the events and
each other,
and
one another.
One another, and seeing who can outbid who. Now, once we have the foundation settled and we have our money and we're going to get
What are we going to do with
named,
money?
what's next?
Well, we really want to get an archive because it is amazing the amount of materials that we have collected, and we don't have any permanent place to keep them. Right now, a lot of the auction material is in our cellar and in our sunroom. And Michael had to go up this morning to dig out a lot of stuff from City Hall. It's really, and it's too bad because we want it accessible. We want...
None of the libraries have space, or the Roberson, if we can, when we borrow anything?
We really want something that belongs chiefly to Rod, and where one of us can be to explain and talk about Rod. And
have it on a, like on a tour so we can bring students.
Right, well, we want to, but we don't have the money. Maybe we'll get the money. We want a moving video thing so that we can go into schools. We want the kids to get involved. And there are lots and lots of teachers who are real Rod Serling fans, you know, not just...
Well, I also want young people to know that everything has a beginning. You just don't start right out and become a star.
Oh, no, he had a tough time. He had a real struggle. Then after he became, you know, really well known, he still had a struggle because of the... Can you imagine writing for, say, 2 hours or an hour and a half, and having to have those segments for the commercial? You know, that's a very hard, I think it's a very difficult medium.
And it's hours and hours only to get what we see, which is so entertaining.
But he didn't, he had a long struggle, really and truly. And I think kids ought to know that, but he kept at it. And he was so lovable that I'm sure many, many people helped him.
What about scholarships for future young people who think they want the art? That's been
There
set
is
up
one,
already?
yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I didn't set it up. The foundation didn't set it up. This came about through that movie. The city set it up, the mayor and Michael and Barbara. And it's at Central. And the first person who got the award was a very clever boy named Schiff. And his parents are very interested in the Rod Serling Foundation. As almost everybody is interested. And all of you who want to can become a member of the Rod Serling Foundation. It didn't used to cost anything, but now we need the money for postage, $15, and just all you have to do is call Michael or me, and we'd love to have you come to the meetings and have a few laughs and listen well, and then go out and talk about Rod and see what we can do.
This is, once again, we're keeping the dream alive.
Keeping the dream alive.
There are many dreams we need to have alive now, you know, because there's so many, some of the good things are going by.
That's right. We don't want him to go by the boards. And
I want to hear about the button, Helen.
Well, Michael made these buttons. I hope you can see them. Michael made them. Johnny Hart made the design, and now we're using this as a logo. And I'm sure Johnny's been on this program. We sold, Michael can tell you about this because it was all his, everything great is Michael's idea.
Oh, I love it, Michael. This is your fan club here.
Yeah.
Very briefly, we decided to make the buttons for our first film festival, which we had last November in the Helen Foley Theater. And we sold these buttons for $1, and they went over very well, and it's a lovely button. And then we made a larger size that had the first film festival and the dates, and we made a limited edition of 50, and these were numbered. And we sold them for $5, and they sold very quickly. For this celebrity auction and all of our upcoming functions, the film festival again this November, we are making new designs. These are in color this year. They'll be red, white, and blue with a black and white photo, and we're using actual photographs in the center of these. This year we've expanded the limited run to 100 at $5 a piece. And virtually these things are priceless. The 50 that we now have from last November, if somebody were to sell one, it could bring $100. It's, you know, there were 50 made. It's a very limited run.
Not only are you enjoying it,
right,
and
but they do increase in value.
Else.
We're having a wonderful time. We love everybody in the whole group. We just love everybody.
Do you get a big following from the English students? Do you have any opportunity to go back into an English class at high school and tell any of this? Have you been able to do that at all
We
yet?
have gone to a couple of classes, and we'd like to go to more. We're going to the Historical Society in June in Sears Harkness Hall with Bob Rosenbaum. Bob Rosenbaum was another one, like Michael. He worked all the time. He never got any sleep. And he's the one who mounted the exhibit at the Broome County Theater. And he did a
Soon to be the
job.
Rod Serling.
We hope. Soon to be the Rod Serling Theater. But Bob was great, too. And Bob thoroughly believes in education. And we have gone into a couple of classrooms together.
Well, I know when we've been going to the forum and they have family night on Friday, and you can bring the younger students at the discount price. You'd be amazed the number of people you see standing with their children saying this is a very important person who went to Hollywood, but Binghamton was his
Right, and he
hometown.
loved it. Do I have time to read a
You
little bit?
do. This is on your invitation
This
card.
is on the invitation card to the exhibit. Everybody has a hometown. Binghamton's mine. In the strangely brittle, terribly sensitive makeup of a human being, there is need for a place to hang a hat, or a kind of geographical womb to crawl back into, or maybe just a place that's familiar because that's where you grew up. When I dig back through the memory cells, I get one particularly distinctive feeling. That's one of warmth, comfort, and well-being. For whatever else I may have had or lost or will find, I've still got a hometown. This, nobody's going to take away from me. He loved Binghamton.
Can you imagine that? You know, where were we? We were at the junction of the Susquehanna and the Shenango.
Right.
We were important because the DL&W or EJ.
We're between Syracuse and Scranton.
That's right. And someone says, where is it?
Binghamton?
Yes. Can't pronounce it either. But just think of what his words are is the warmth.
It is.
Right.
Yes, there's a great deal of warmth in Binghamton. Right. We found that out. Everybody. People would dig into their scrapbooks, and Dick Frankel sent a picture that's just absolutely charming, and we've got to put that in the forum. And that was out of a clear blue sky, and many women dug into their memorabilia and sent us things, and we really do appreciate it so much.
You know, when we finished, well, you talk about West Junior, Dick Deacon and I finished West Junior in the same time, and there was Dick McLean, who's remained
Well, then
here.
I taught you at West Junior.
I think so.
Because I taught Dick Deacon.
But
there.
it was a time of Amelia Earhart when she was
Right.
lost. And I don't know whose idea this was, but it's so clear to me now that we are talking about her this year also.
We did Amelia Earhart.
Right.
Who wrote all those things, Barbara? I did.
And when for the graduation, I hope you can
Every
remember
graduation.
this. We
Came out of a plane.
We stepped out of the plane. Exactly.
Right.
I found that picture the other day,
Mhm.
and I was showing it to my granddaughters, and they said, you know, you had airplanes then, and I said, yes. Glad they weren't looking for the Conestoga wagon, which probably could have been in their mind.
Well, Harold Hager was the principal, and he was quite a stage-struck principal, and he admired people who did a great deal, and of course Amelia Earhart was one of them. And we did step out of an airplane. We had the Buckingham Palace from King Edward, and we had a showboat for Edna Ferber, whom we honored, and we had the facade of Thomas Watson's IBM, and we walked through that.
All those things are
we put on productions there.
And that's why we want to keep Rod Serling's memory and dream
Absolutely,
alive.
because he put on marvelous
Well,
productions.
Michael, invite everybody to the auction again. Give us the exact time and date so we can not miss it.
Okay, the auction once again will be at Bosthov's Saturday, June 13th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have hopefully 200 items to be auctioned from both celebrities, from the Serling estate, and from the local merchants who have been marvelous. So please come. The proceeds from this will go to help establish our mobile display unit, which will be free of charge to all the area schools, colleges, nursing homes, etc. So we're really looking forward to this.
Well, Helen, it won't take long for us to realize this dream for Rod Serling, because that's the kind of community this is, and all the people who live around us. Once more, wrapping our arms around us and feeling warmth. I want to thank each of you for coming and bringing this special time for us.
Thank you.
Be sure to be a part of this. Remember, Rod Serling said Binghamton was his hometown. Thank you for joining me. I'm Barbara Oldwine. Good day.
This has been Community Scene with Barbara Oldwine. Community Scene is a public affairs presentation of WICZ-TV. This program was pre-recorded.
Like to have a sweater vest that was worn by John Travolta, or how about a watercolor painting by Phyllis Diller, or a tennis dress that Brooke Shields wore and even autographed? That can be yours with the right bid at the celebrity auction for the Rod Serling Foundation. Here's Fred Heckman and his guests with all the details.
My guest on Close Up tonight, Mike Pipher, the president of the celebrity auction for the Rod Serling Foundation. And Mike, tell us all about what's happening this weekend and where the money's going from this foundation and from this celebrity auction.
Okay, our celebrity auction will be held this Saturday, June 13th at Bosthov's on the 4th floor auditorium. We have approximately 200 items that have been donated from celebrities who knew and worked with Rod, as well as local merchants. All of the proceeds from the auction goes to purchase more materials for our archives for the forum display and to try and establish and create our mobile display unit for educational purposes.
How many different items do you have up for auction this week?
At present, we have about 210 items. I'm hoping to have 250 by the time we're finished.
I see. Is there a starting bid on them, or is it just open?
No, there's no minimum bid on anything, so you can bid as high or as low as you choose, but we're hoping you'll bid high for the good of the foundation.
Well, everyone knows that Rod was from Binghamton, and he's a local boy, and we want to honor him with that beautiful display over at the Forum. Is that right?
Yes, the display at the Forum is the only display of its type in the world. We're very proud of it. We're hoping to, we've now received our grant, or our nonprofit status, and are going to do some grant writing. And if we get the proper funding, we want to build a museum and have really a functional working archives here in Binghamton.
Great. In honor of Rod Serling.
Definitely.
Now tell me, would you be accepting more of these different auction items up
Yes.
until auction time?
Anyone that would like to donate right through Thursday evening, we can still get you in the printed program for advertising purposes. And we will have a printed program that lists the item, the donor, the value. And we're looking for more donations from any area merchants or individuals that knew and loved Rod.
Give me an example of some of the things that you're going to be auctioning off. Just a few.
From the local level, we have a $600 pair of brass lamps. We have a diamond necklace. We have a $250 ceiling lamp fixture, a $100 ladies' watch.
My goodness.
From celebrities, we have the John Travolta sweater vest that he wore 2 weeks ago. We have the Brooke Shields autographed tennis dress. We have a $700 valued painting from Phyllis Diller. It's a self-portrait in watercolors.
Phyllis did it herself?
Yes, she did a Night Gallery episode, and she was very touched with Rod and sent this for us.
Great. So these are just some of the things you'll see and be able to auction for and bid on this Saturday.
Right.
Once again, where is it and when? This Saturday?
It's Saturday, June 13th at Bosthov's, the 4th floor auditorium. We'll also have a membership table and our buttons for sale, and we have beverage mugs and Twilight Zone strips.
It's all in honor of Rod Serling.
Right.
And thank you, Mike Pipher, for being my guest.
Thank you for having us.
Binghamton, New York. Hello.
Oh, Larry.
Hi. Made some great records with Dinah Washington and with Sarah Vaughan. Hello.
Yes, this is Binghamton, New York.
Yes, sir.
Wondering if you knew where the world premiere was held of Twilight Zone, the motion picture.
Don't know.
It was held in Rod's hometown here in Binghamton. And we have started, since the world premiere here, a foundation on behalf of Mr. Serling. It's amazing, over the last 3 or 4 months as we've been watching movies and television shows, how many different people mention Rod Serling or the Twilight Zone. There's been 6 major motion pictures in the last 3 months that mentioned either Rod or the Twilight Zone by name.
I knew Rod very well.
Really?
Oh, he came on my radio and TV shows in Miami a lot. We had dinner a lot.
Oh, this is interesting. Do you happen to have any interviews or?
Oh, I would imagine down at WIOD in Miami they might still have some tapes that we did.
Okay, could I possibly write you in care of the station and try and...
I'd write right down to them, because I wouldn't have them, but they'd have many. I'd also write to Channel 4 in Miami.
I say we'd like to interview you sometime about, some of your recollections.
Oh, I have many recollections of Rod Serling and many stories.
Really, that's fantastic. We're trying to accumulate materials for our archives here in Binghamton. When he passed away, his widow Carol had donated all of his films to Ithaca College, where he was teaching.
His brother's still alive.
Yes, right. We're hosting.
And he's a very good writer.
Yes, he is. We're hoping he'll attend. We're having a celebrity auction here June 13th.
Bob Serling writes about airplanes and knows more about airplanes than any layman I know.
Yes, it's amazing some of the things he's done. And I just thought, I haven't spoken to you a couple of years, but I thought we'd call and fill you in that we do have a foundation here in Binghamton.
Well, that's terrific. I like Rod Serling a great deal. He was bright, informative, and fun to be around. One of the slimmest men I ever met. He's skinny.
Really interesting. We started the first annual film festival last November, and in trying to put together the program, I went after some of the really obscure materials. As a matter of fact, in the last week, I just turned up something that the Museum of Broadcasting, Carol Serling, and none of the list of credits even knew Rod had written, and it's a 1950 Christmas show, probably the first thing that was ever aired on television that he wrote. And I just obtained an actual 16-millimeter print. In researching it, it's not copyrighted, and we're really thrilled to have turned that up. And we're just
you ought to be.
really active here, and
Well, that's terrific.
could we possibly give an address if people wanted to write to us about the station?
Sure.
That would be Post Office Box 2101, Binghamton, New York, 13902.